9 out of 10 F1 teams have committed to boosting diversity and inclusion in Formula One racing. Who is the remaining team, you ask? Well, we found the answer pretty surprising, and you will too. Apparently, Williams Racing has its own reasons as to why they won't be joining the Hamilton Commission. Confused? Well, don't worry. In today's video, we'll be going over the reason provided by Williams for their decision, so buckle up. First things first, what exactly is the Hamilton Commission? If you know a little something about Formula One racing, you must also definitely know the blatant racism Hamilton has had to go through in his career as the only black driver in the lineup. And need we remind you, he's also the only black driver in F1 ever. Of course, to some people it doesn't matter that he's one of the only two 7-time world champs, and apparently the fact that he does so much for the community isn't important as well. So, like the king that he is, Hamilton has been working hard for quite some time to promote diversity in the sport. A pretty comprehensive report, which was released in 2021, shows the clear situation of underrepresentation of the black community in the sport. Hamilton didn't leave any sort of loose ends when it came to the report. The research involved around 2,400 young people with in-depth interviews of more than 100 participants, including multiple representatives from each F1 team. After finding systemic discrimination against black people in the sport, Hamilton and his team managed to lay out in the open the problems faced by them. And in order to address these problems, the Commission gave 10 recommendations to the F1 teams which would allow for improved representation. Now, wondering what the Commission asked the teams to do? Well, here's everything outlined for you. So first off, the Commission asked the teams to increase their apprenticeships and also establish funds that would allow students from black backgrounds to partake in these activities. The teams were also asked to create opportunities for black teachers and instructors in STEM-related fields. They were also asked to make way for targeted support programs and other work-based training opportunities that would help them in their careers. So, in summary, Hamilton, through his Hamilton Commission, wanted to pave a smooth and easy way for black kids who aspired to become something in the field of motorsport. He wanted to enhance the intake of black people on the team, and this could only happen if the teams would be willing to sign his diversity and inclusion charter. But oh no, such a noble cause is definitely going to meet some major speed bumps on its journey. Even though the charter is worth $27.5 million, one team is still skeptical about it. So why won't Williams commit? Well, before going straight into the reason, let's lay some groundwork. As a viewer, you should know that currently 16 of the 20 F1 drivers are white. Yep, this is still a thing in 2022, and Williams Racing is sort of making it worse. And their explanation certainly isn't really working as much in their favor. When Hamilton was asked about this, he refused to name the team, which we think is pretty cool of him. But sources have confirmed that it's actually Williams Racing. Turns out that the racist, sexist, and homophobic slurs, which sort of dominated the crowd in Austria during a recent race, weren't enough for them. Maybe the people at Williams think that no change is required. Well, their couldn't give a hoot attitude has definitely led us to believe this. The team's ideas haven't really been in line with Hamilton's. And besides, when asked if they have signed the charter, the team stated that they haven't received the charter's final copy. Sounds like the excuses we used to make in high school. No, Mr. Brown, I must have missed the assignment you gave us. Who's gonna tell them that this won't really work anymore? Well, according to Hamilton, both parties have been involved in a back and forth, so maybe they are negotiating the terms of figuring out how to implement these recommendations into their working model. But on another occasion, the team suggested that they are awaiting a response from the Royal Academy of Engineering, as the matter at hand is very important. Seems like procrastination to us. But they also stated that the team already has serious active programs in place which are doing their best to deal with these problems. Okay, we don't want to meddle in their business, but why don't you take a look at their F1 specialist team? There are hardly any black people in it. The team also went on to say that they didn't really know what was going on. Oh no, apologies. They didn't say that exactly. Instead, they said that we have no knowledge of the progress and of who has and has not signed up to date. Oh well, tomato, tomato. According to Williams Racing, they haven't been contacted regarding the updates for several months and are just waiting for Ham's team to contact them. So what we've gathered is that once they have completed the information about the recommendations and when they receive a final copy of the inclusivity charter, only then they'll be able to move forward. Hamilton, however, has a completely different story to tell. He has mentioned how he's been going back and forth with the team, but due to some unknown reasons, they don't want to. Either Williams Racing isn't acting cool at all, or there's been a serious misunderstanding. Well, whatever it is, we just hope they sort it out for the sake of society's benefit. Well, now that you're all caught up with what's going on with Williams Racing and the Hamilton Commission, let's see what else has been going on in the world of F1. First up, Nico Hülkenberg isn't impressed with the 2022 F1 cars. Yep, that's right. Contrary to the popular belief, Hülkenberg wasn't fully on board with the 2022 F1 cars in the beginning. In all honesty, he did believe that they were pretty fast, but maybe the whole driving experience caused him to become skeptical. The German is presently the reserve driver for Aston Martin and has mixed feelings about the 2022 season. He believes the too many changes in the regulations might take all the fun out of driving. So basically it won't matter if the car is fast or if the drive was enjoyable. These regulations we just mentioned were actually supposed to be put in place in 2021, but of course COVID-19 delayed them by a year, as it did with everything else. Wondering what the FIA wanted with these new regulations? We assumed that they were hoping for a more competitive form of racing. They would have an increased focus on the driver, so they don't just want cars to do all the work for the drivers. Makes sense. But when Hülkenberg tried out these cars before the season began, he was concerned about the drive. And as it turns out, he wasn't the only one. The young McLaren driver and huge fan favorite Lando Norris had also come forward saying that these cars weren't as nice to drive. Well, with the season currently in full swing, we can only hope that they've either come to terms with these differences or necessary tweaks have been made by the team. Next up, we have Hamilton celebrating his 300th race by finishing second. What a champ. Alright, our opinion might be hugely biased, but don't you think Hamilton is definitely the best F1 driver right now? No offense to Verstappen though. We all know the young star has got a bright career ahead of him, but Hamilton, the 37-year-old Brit, just recently received second in France, marking his 300th race. The 7-time world champ has become the 6th driver in the history of F1 to compete in 300 races or more. He currently shares this honor with Kimi Räikkönen, who has 349 races, Fernando Alonso with 344 races, Rubens Barrichello with 323 races, the All-Star Michael Schumacher with 307 races, and Jenson Button with 306 races. We're sure it won't be difficult for Hamilton to leave these records behind, so maybe we'll finally see him crossing the 400th race mark as he joked about with Toto Wolff. After all, in his own words, he's got plenty of fuel in the tank. And lastly, Sainz isn't happy with Ferrari's decision to pit with 9 laps remaining in French Grand Prix. We're certain that the French Grand Prix must have been hard for the 27-year-old. With a lot of hindrances, he still managed to make his way to the front. Even though Carlos Sainz started last on the grid, he still managed to reach P3, and he would have passed that too, but Ferrari ended up making a blunder. The team asked him to pit for a second time, even though the race was just about to end. The Spaniard would have managed pretty well without stopping, if you ask us. And as it turns out, many share this opinion with us, as fans online were furious over this decision and released their rage on all social media platforms. Well, we can't blame them really. That's a wrap for this video, guys. What do you think of the Hamilton Commission? Why do you think Williams Racing isn't signing up? Let us know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more awesome videos like this.